The NFL thought it had New England figured out, a franchise stuck in transition, a roster labeled rebuilding, a team people talked about in the past tense instead of the present. But somewhere along the way, that story quietly fell apart, and by the time the league realized it, it was already too late. Because what the New England Patriots pulled off this season wasn't a slow climb or a lucky streak. It was a takeover, fast, violent, unapologetic, one that blindsided analysts, embarrassed doubters, and flipped the playoff picture upside down in real time. Insiders claim the shift started the moment Mike Vrabel walked into the building, not with speeches, not with promises, but with a tone that felt different. This wasn't the cautious, post-dynasty Patriots-era fans had grown used to. This was old-school toughness fused with modern aggression, a team built to thrive when everything breaks down. And then there was the quarterback. Nobody expected a rookie to accelerate this fast, but Drake May didn't just improve, he detonated. Calm in chaos, surgical under pressure, playing with a poise that had former players whispering comparisons they weren't ready to say out loud yet. Every week, he looked less like someone learning the league and more like someone bending it. The moment the rest of the NFL woke up was the AFC Championship. Snow, pressure, a national spotlight, a physical showdown against the Denver Broncos that was supposed to expose him. Instead, it did the opposite. That game didn't just send New England to the Super Bowl, it sent shockwaves through front offices across the league. Text messages started flying. Scouts, executives, former players, same message, different phones, he's real. This is a problem. Now the Patriots are here, starring across the field at the Seattle Seahawks, and the conversation has shifted completely. This isn't about luck. It isn't about timing. It's about a team built for chaos and a rookie quarterback who seems to get stronger when everything around him collapses. And the scariest part, insiders say New England still hasn't shown everything yet. Coming into the season, the Patriots weren't feared, they were dismissed. Most preseason conversations treated New England like a placeholder franchise, a team killing time while searching for its next real era. Power rankings buried them. Betting markets shrugged them off. Even within the AFC East, the assumption was simple: they're not ready yet. But that label didn't survive very long. Early on, there were flashes that didn't quite fit the narrative, games that felt too physical, drives that didn't break under pressure, defensive stands that looked more violent than anything you'd expect from a rebuilding roster. Still, most people brushed it off as variance, a fluke here, a weird matchup there. Inside the building, it was a different story. Reports suggest New England never viewed this season as a bridge year. The roster was young, yes, but it was deliberately young, fast, aggressive, built to absorb contact instead of avoid it. And once the team stopped apologizing for its youth, something flipped. The Patriots stopped playing like a team hopping to hang around. They started playing like a team, testing opponents mentally. Every win tightened the grip. Every close game that should have slipped away didn't. Instead of folding late, New England leaned in, shortening games, forcing mistakes, dragging opponents into uncomfortable situations. That's when the whispers started, not from fans, but from people paid to evaluate football for a living. Something here isn't normal. The biggest mistake the league made wasn't underestimating the talent. It was misunderstanding the intent. This team wasn't waiting to become dangerous later. They were practicing how to hurt teams now. And as the wins stacked up, the narrative cracked. Analysts who once called them irrelevant suddenly couldn't explain why they kept surviving moments that usually expose young teams. The truth was uncomfortable. New England wasn't ahead of schedule. They were exactly on it. And the player accelerating that timeline faster than anyone expected wasn't a veteran leader or a free agent splash. It was the rookie under center, the one everyone assumed would need time. But time wasn't something he planned on giving the league. Here, where the season stopped making sense to the rest of the league. Rookie quarterbacks aren't supposed to do this. They're supposed to flash, stumble, learn the hard way, and survive. What Drake May did was skip steps, and that's what rattled people. Early on, defenses treated him like a project. Complex looks, late rotations, blitzes designed to force panic. The usual welcome to the NFL playbook. Instead of cracking, May got sharper. He sped up his reads. He moved defenders with his eyes. He extended plays without turning them into chaos. That's when the tone changed. Midseason, New England ripped off a stretch that forced everyone to look again. 3 straight games with over 300 yards. Multiple late-game drives where the moment got louder and May got calmer. The walk-off score against Buffalo wasn't just a win, it was a broadcast interruption. Suddenly, former players weren't analyzing mechanics anymore. They were talking about presence. Insiders say that's when comparisons started happening privately. Not because of arm talent alone, plenty of quarterbacks can throw. It was how he handled pressure. Defensive coordinators kept dialing up heat, expecting him to blink. Instead, he punished disguises, escaped collapsing pockets, and hit throws that shouldn't exist on the play diagram. One internal stat reportedly made the rounds. May's passer rating went up when the pocket collapsed. That's veteran territory. That's the stuff teams spend years trying to teach. And here's the part that scared people. He wasn't just reacting anymore. He was dictating, changing protections, anticipating blitzes before they arrived, turning broken plays into first downs without forcing hero ball. The game slowed down for him while it was speeding up for everyone else. By the time defenses adjusted, it didn't matter. May had already moved on to the next answer. The Patriots hadn't just found a quarterback who could survive the league. They found one who could bend it. And the real test, the one that breaks most rookies, was still coming. Because January doesn't care about momentum. It cares about who stays calm when everything turns hostile. If there was any moment left for the league to expose the Patriots, this was supposed to be it. Snow pouring down, visibility shot, a physical opponent built for January football. The AFC Championship wasn't just a game, it was a stress test, and most people expected the pressure to finally catch up to Drake May. Instead, the storm exposed everyone else. From the opening drive, it was obvious something was off. The conditions that froze the Denver Broncos into hesitation seemed to sharpen New England's focus. Routes were crisp, timing stayed intact, and when plays broke down, because in that weather they always do, May didn't panic. He adapted. One play changed the tone of the night. An unblocked blitzer came screaming through the snow. Most quarterbacks curl up or throw it away. May stepped through the pressure like he was walking on dry turf, reset his feet, and fired a dart to the sideline for a first down. The stadium went quiet. Broadcast booths went silent for a beat longer than usual. That's when the narrative died. From there, it only got worse for Denver. Their defensive disguises unraveled. Communication broke down. Missed tackles piled up. Meanwhile, May kept extending drives, turning chaos into control. Every third and long felt manageable. Every red zone snap felt deliberate. Insiders say phones were lighting up across the league by halftime. Same message, different wording. This kid isn't rattled. This is real. We've got a problem. And it wasn't just May. The Patriots' defense leaned into the storm like it was part of the game plan. Pressure came in waves. Receivers disappeared. Red zone snaps turned violent. New England didn't survive the weather, they weaponized it. By the final whistle, the scoreboard told one story. The tape told another. This wasn't an upset. It was an exposure. A contender built on structure and rhythm got dragged into chaos and couldn't escape. And as the snow kept falling, one thing became painfully clear to everyone watching. This wasn't a rookie having a hot stretch. This was a quarterback evolving in real time on the biggest stage. while the rest of the league watched helplessly. And while the cameras stayed on the field, something even more dangerous was unfolding on the sideline. Because the man orchestrating all of this looked like he expected it. The scariest part of New England's run isn't the quarterback. It's the man standing behind him. When Mike Vrabel took over the New England Patriots, most people assumed this would be a slow rebuild. Culture reset, tough talk, a couple gritty wins, nothing immediate. That assumption didn't survive the first month. Insiders say Vrabel walked into the building with zero interest in easing anyone in. His message was blunt, uncomfortable, and non-negotiable. This wasn't about vibes. This wasn't about rebuilding years. This was about standards right now. Practices changed first, more physical, less talking. Mistakes got addressed in real time in front of everyone. Film sessions weren't polite. They were confrontational. If you blew an assignment, it didn't get softened with excuses. It got exposed. And instead of fracturing the locker room, it did something unexpected. It hardened it. Players who couldn't handle the edge quietly faded out. The ones who stayed leaned in. That's when the identity snapped into place. New England stopped trying to look modern. They started looking dangerous. Defensively, Vrabel rewired everything. Pressure became the language, not reckless blitzing but calculated chaos. Late movement, disguised fronts, linebackers attacking downhill like they had a green light on every snap. Quarterbacks stopped getting clean reads, and once hesitation crept in, the Patriots hunted. Offensively, the approach was just as ruthless. Control the trenches, stay patient. Let the quarterback cook when the defense blinked. No panic, no overcorrection, just steady pressure until something broke. By midseason, opposing coaches were already adjusting game plans just for New England's physicality. That's rare. That's respect. But the most telling detail came after the AFC Championship. While players celebrated, insiders say Vrabel didn't smile, didn't soak it in, didn't give a speech. He looked around the locker room, nodded once, and said 4 words. "One more, finish it." That's when the league should have understood the truth. This isn't a hot team riding emotion. This is a program that believes chaos favors the prepared. And with the Super Bowl looming, that belief is about to be tested against an opponent that hasn't faced anything like this yet. Because waiting on the other sideline is a team that plays fast. But New England plays relentless. And those are not the same thing. On paper, this Super Bowl looks close. That's the trap. Because once you strip away the records and hype, the matchup quietly tilts in one direction, and it's not subtle. The Seattle Seahawks earned their spot, no question. But the version of football they play runs directly into New England's sharpest weapons. Start with the quarterback contrast. Sam Darnold revived his career in Seattle. He's been efficient, poised, and protected by a system designed to keep him clean. But the Super Bowl doesn't reward comfort. It punishes it. And New England specializes in forcing quarterbacks off script. Insiders say Seattle's staff is deeply concerned about how Darnold handles late movement and collapsing pockets. When his first read disappears, his efficiency drops fast. That's not speculation, that's film. And the Patriots' defense lives to erase first reads. Then there's the coaching chess match. Mike Macdonald has done an incredible job modernizing Seattle's defense. It's fast, creative, and disciplined. But this is his first time on the biggest stage in sports, facing a coach who's lived inside Super Bowls from the inside out. That experience gap matters. New England doesn't just game plan. They bait. They force you to show your hand early, then punish tendencies you didn't realize you had. Several NFC scouts reportedly said the same thing after the AFC title game. New England doesn't beat you once. They beat you repeatedly in small ways until the game slips away. And then there's the trenches. Seattle's defensive front thrives on speed. New England thrives on leverage and violence. If the Patriots establish downhill runs early, Seattle's linebackers get sucked in. That opens windows, short ones, deadly ones. Momentum is the final factor. Seattle has been fighting uphill. New England has been rolling downhill, erasing teams mentally as much as physically. One squad is still proving it belongs. The other believes it's inevitable. That difference shows up late. Third quarters, 2-minute drills, goal line stands. This game won't be decided by a highlight. It'll be decided by who breaks first when the plan stops working. And right now, New England looks built to wait. Seattle doesn't. This Super Bowl isn't about flashy predictions or headline-friendly hot takes. It's about leverage. And quietly, New England Patriots hold it in almost every phase that decides championship games. The first key is adaptability. New England can win multiple ways, and that's what scares teams the most. They can slow the game to a crawl and turn it into a physical grind. They can open it up and force defenses to chase. They can play field position football, or they can flip momentum with one sudden adjustment. That flexibility means Seattle can't lock in on a single plan, and uncertainty is deadly at this level. Then there's situational football. Third and short, red zone, 2-minute drills. These moments decide Super Bowls far more often than explosive plays. Insiders say New England grades out as one of the most disciplined situational teams left, especially defensively. They don't overpursue. They don't panic. They wait for mistakes and capitalize instantly when they appear. Seattle, by contrast, has leaned on rhythm. When their offense stays on schedule, they're dangerous. But when that rhythm gets disrupted, drives stall. New England's entire defensive identity is built around disruption. Late shifts, delayed pressure, coverage rotations that look familiar until they suddenly aren't. It forces hesitation. And hesitation in the Super Bowl usually ends badly. Another edge is emotional control. This Patriots team plays with intensity but not desperation. They expect resistance, they expect chaos, and they don't chase momentum, they suffocate it. Several insiders noted that during the AFC title game, New England never looked rushed, even when Denver made pushes. That calm travels well to the biggest stage. And finally, there's belief. Not hype, not confidence, belief. The Patriots aren't playing to prove anything anymore. They're playing like a team that thinks this outcome makes sense. Like this was always the direction things were headed. Seattle is hungry, talented, dangerous. But New England looks inevitable. And that's usually when championships swing. Not when the crowd gets loud, but when one team realizes the other isn't blinking. Not now. Not here. Not with everything on the line. Every once in a while, the NFL hits a moment where the conversation quietly changes. Not because of one game. Not because of one player. But because a team shows you something that doesn't look temporary. That's what this season has felt like. What started as a wait-and-see year turned into a warning. The kind teams don't fully recognize until it's already too late. Because this group didn't just win games, they won them in different ways, under different conditions, against different styles, without ever losing their identity. That's rare. Rookie quarterbacks aren't supposed to look this comfortable this fast. New head coaches aren't supposed to hard reset culture midseason and immediately get buy-in. Defenses aren't supposed to get meaner the deeper the playoffs go. And yet, all of it happened at once. That's why this Super Bowl feels heavier than usual. Because no matter how it ends, the league already sees the outline of what's coming next. A team that doesn't rely on perfect conditions. A quarterback who doesn't shrink when the moment gets loud. A coaching staff that doesn't chase trends, they dictate terms. And that's the part nobody wants to admit yet. This doesn't look like a peak. It looks like a beginning. Around the league, executives aren't just prepping for one game. They're asking bigger questions. How do you build against this? How do you disrupt a team that thrives in chaos? How do you slow something that's still evolving? Those answers don't come easy. If this run was about luck, cracks would have shown by now. If it was about emotion, it would have burned out. Instead, it sharpened. It got quieter, more controlled, more dangerous. That's how dynasties usually reintroduce themselves, not with noise, but with inevitability. One game decides the trophy. But the tone, that's already been set. And once the league realizes it wasn't a fluke, the real pressure starts. Here's the part that usually doesn't hit until months later. Super Bowls are remembered for rings, confetti, and final scores. But the league's biggest shifts don't always announce themselves that loudly. Sometimes they arrive quietly, disguised as one hot season, one rookie breakout, one surprising playoff run. Then everyone looks back and says, "Oh, that was the moment." This feels like one of those moments. Whether New England lifts the Lombardi or not, something irreversible has already happened. The Patriots didn't just return to relevance. They reintroduced a formula the league thought was gone: toughness without recklessness, confidence without chaos, a young quarterback who doesn't play scared, a coach who doesn't chase approval, a roster that doesn't flinch when the temperature drops or the pressure spikes. That combination doesn't show up often. And when it does, the rest of the NFL scrambles to catch up. Front offices are already adjusting draft boards. Defensive coordinators are already studying film, looking for answers that might not exist yet. Fans are already arguing about whether this is hype or history in the making. But inside that building, the tone hasn't changed. No victory laps. No premature celebrations. Just the same message that's carried them this far. Finish it. Because this season was never about proving anyone wrong. It was about reminding the league what happens when preparation meets belief, when patience meets aggression, when opportunity meets the right people at the right time. One game will decide the champion. But the warning has already been delivered. The Patriots aren't chasing the past anymore. They're building the next problem. And the rest of the NFL just realized it might already be too late.